Welcome back to the Bejeweled Podcast, a podcast that can literally be put together in within an hour thanks to AI. Pardon my hastiness. I'm Joel, I'm the episode of 121, and things have just been too crazy to speak.
And I'm Jayozak, and I've been gaming too much to speak. It's the Switch 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to episode 35 of the podcast. Jeez, to say 35 is quite crazy, but it's also crazy. It's been almost 7 months, maybe, about there, since we did the podcast together.
Yeah, the last episode where you had me on, it was back in May, and it's now November, so...
Okay, so I was close, actually. That was a pure guess.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we are back with the podcast. It is episode 35. Don't worry, Jayozak, I am recording. Don't worry. I still remember the gist.
Okay.
And we're here to talk about mostly Nintendo Direct and Nintendo Switch 2 stuff. I know, we're many months late, but let's just say life for both of us, not just me, both of us, has been quite crazy. And we'll get to that in due time. With that said, if you guys are hype for another podcast here on the channel, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for content if you're new, follow Jayozak, all these handles right there, and of course, ring that bell to find a time I upload. If you missed the last podcast, which was the 2025 CTWC recap, it's on the card up here. With that said, haven't said this in a while, Jayozak, you ready?
Yes. Sorry, I don't know why
if you couldn't hear because of the music, Jayozak may or may not have clicked another Switch 2 console into it. Anyways, let's get it started.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hang on. Alright, there we go. Music's playing. Okay, so, as we mentioned, it's been a while. I think before anything even starts, I think we'll just quickly update ourselves. I mean, Jayozak, you can go first on this one.
Like, what kind of updates are we talking about?
I mean, mostly just life updates, because, as I mentioned, it's been like 6 to 7 months since we even did the podcast, and there's major reasons for that.
Yeah, I mean, just like, yeah, life being busy, recently things have been a little bit more busy for me, but thankfully, that's gonna kind of lessen outside of like Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, but yeah, ultimately it's like I get home from work and I'm like, I don't feel necessarily like working on video stuff after I was at my day job where I deal with video stuff. So it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna play Luigi's Mansion.
Just you kind of just want to what's that?
Decompress.
Pretty much, but also like pull yourself away from the norm that was your work, basically.
Yeah, it's to the point where like before, when I'm at home, I'm a lot of the times at my computer desk where I'm at right now. For like the past year or so, if I haven't needed to work or do something on the computer, I don't. I have like a separate just TV area at next to here where I don't deal with computer whatsoever. At most, it's just my phone or tablet, and then whatever Switch I'm playing on, because now I have 2. So, yeah, that's about the gist. Is that it's just a lot of days I come home just like not really feeling it. So
no more video, please.
Yeah.
Take that camera off my face. For me, never mind.
I'm more so behind the camera, for my job. But yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna make a joke. For me, it's mostly been university work back again. In the midst of the last 5 months, I was kind of in a rut at one point. But ultimately, overall, I've actually regained my confidence as a teacher, which is fantastic, thanks to practicum. Work-wise, I'm nearly done. I'm from, I would say, 15 modules, JavaSec, I'm now down to 1.5.
Okay.
So
nice.
That's pretty much a 90% sale off pretty much on my modules, which feels great. Still got a bit of work left, but the fact that it's a lot lessened feels a lot better.
That's good.
But that said, it was not more than just that. I mean, of course, you guys already know I've been running on my YouTube, which for those wondering is at the time of recording this, is nearing 500 subscribers, which is still baffles me, honestly.
Nice.
But and then also for those who are not in the know, internationally, I've actually been part of the filming of a TV show on in my country.
Oh, nice. I was not aware of this.
Yeah, there has been many reasons as to why I've been so occupied for so long. I mean, it's been very fulfilling all the more. But man, all of this pretty much dubs this year as officially my busiest year ever, I would say. Maybe even more busy than my first year of work.
Really?
Yeah, it is that kind of year, honestly.
Wow.
But ultimately, I mean, I'm feeling a lot better. As I said before, I regained my confidence. Other than that, I've been kind of just working on 2026 stuff, like what I plan to do for this YouTube channel, which, for those wondering, there's going to be quite a few changes to what I'm planning to do to, I wouldn't say lessen my work, it's just more so make life a lot easier. Which may or may not include the return of a beloved short series. Hint, hint. The other clue is JavaSec. I might need you to get back to work soon on that. Potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'll leave it. With that said, now we actually will move on to our main topics. As I mentioned, mostly Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Direct stuff, 5 to 6 months way late. Well,
yeah.
I say 5 to 6 months. Technically, the latest Nintendo Direct was in September?
September, yeah, so about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, this all stemmed from a comment that was made in one of my Discord servers, like saying that, someone actually... Okay, basically we saw a video from one of our members, and let's just say someone was very into rage bait. And saying that this was the worst Nintendo Direct ever.
Really?
Now, straight out of the gate, I thought to myself, okay, no, this is complete rage bait. Like, dude, come on, you can't do this. And then I asked my friends about it, and they said, I mean, it was meh. And that was when I was like, excuse me, what? My mind was just kind of sent to a flurry. I was just like, what do you mean this was like one of the worst Directs? Which is why I brought up the question, how long should the Nintendo Direct be? For context, the last Nintendo Direct in September was the first time that Nintendo deviated from the 40-minute norm since, you won't believe this, November 12th, 2015. And if you're wondering, go ahead.
Excluding the Switch 2 Direct,
no,
because I think that was an hour.
Actually, no, I should clarify. It's the first time that a general Nintendo Direct exceeded the 40-minute mark ever since November 12, 2015, when it reached 43 minutes.
Oh.
Like, that was not that bad of a deviation anyways, and all of a sudden, Nintendo was like, 1 hour sounds good.
Yeah.
But that...
Well, it's... we can talk about it further, but they kind of bolted essentially a Mario Anniversary Direct to the start of a normal length Direct, but...
That's very true, that's very true. We gotta remind ourselves that it was also the tale of a 40-year celebration for Mario. Then they had like the Mario movie announcement, then they had like some other stuff, Mario announcement, of course. But still, it felt as though that, well, for some people apparently, that it was way too long. I know, way too third-party-ish as well. So, I mean, first question I want to discuss is like the optimal length. Do you think 40 minutes should always be the norm, quote unquote, for any general Nintendo Direct?
I mean, it's a good length for the general pace that Directs have been, like, for 5+ years at this point. They've really, like, nailed the general pacing during the start of the original Switch's lifespan. Things flowed quicker, not as much like fluff and filler. It just feels right. So, considering how like information dense they can be, I can understand how maybe some people, by the end of this most recent one that was an hour, they maybe are feeling just like a little like overwhelmed, or just like I don't know, just like starting to like nitpick when there's just so much information being thrown at you. But also I can see how little like Switch 2 exclusive stuff there was from this Direct. Like a lot of cross-gen releases, or Switch 1 games that have enhancements for Switch 2. So maybe from that angle, they are feeling like, okay, there's not quite enough of reason or justification to get a Switch 2 yet, just because of this, because before this Direct, the main first-party games that were released were Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. But, I mean, speaking of Bonanza, this is the Direct where they announced the DLC for Bonanza.
Yep, it was.
Yeah. Like, I can understand why, for this specific Direct, people may have felt, like, underwhelmed or whatever. But to say that it's the worst one, yeah, that's rage bait. Like, did that person not live through the Directs of the Wii U era? Like, so slow and meandering. And oftentimes, like, just because of some of the releases of, like, the Wii U, specifically, how a lot of those, like, people ended up being disappointed about. Like, yeah, I can understand why people maybe were underwhelmed because of this, because there weren't enough, like, exciting first-party stuff coming to Switch 2, specifically because it's the new system. But I think this is just a byproduct of we're in the transitional period between console generations. Things are gonna be weird for a year or two, so I'm not really, I don't know, worked up or, like, upset about it. Because I've had plenty to play on Switch 2, so I don't know, what do you think?
For me, I mean, definitely having a Nintendo Direct go for that long does put a stigma and says like, wait, where did this come from? Like, why is this what they're doing this? Is it going to be the new norm? All of a sudden, having hour-long like Directs. Now, granted, you mentioning about how they had to implant a 40th anniversary about Mario does skew that a bit. Although it does it to an extent when you consider that 5 years ago in 2020, that Direct was just its separate thing. So why couldn't they have done that?
Yeah.
So that does bring up
Yeah.
the question as to why they didn't just do it separately like what they did 5 years ago. And that was during the pandemic, for those wondering.
Maybe, like, the main direct team was, like, working on this new direct, but then they had to, like, also start working on a second one, so it's like, why not just, like, incorporate this into, like, one production pipeline and just one finished product?
Well, I hate to say this, Jose, but that pipe is clogged.
How so?
The idea there was just too much content apparently for some.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. That was the joke I was making.
Yeah. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could have still released the Mario Anniversary Direct as its own standalone thing, but they just decided that they wanted it to be like a all-encompassing Direct, which is like, there's pros and cons to each. I mean, there's already going to be eyeballs on a standard Nintendo Direct, so why not also put in, like, stuff relating to the 40th anniversary of Mario, even though Mario is, like, their biggest franchise.
Very true, yeah.
So if they were to post it separately, it would still get eyeballs. Yeah, I don't know, there's...
I think we gotta
are
remind
pros and cons
ourselves
to
that
each.
Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. I feel like regardless of what they post, there's going to be eyeballs left and right and center about almost everything. Like you mentioned about nitpicking, that sadly is the social media that we're living today.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely going to happen one way or another. It's just so a matter of like how others will interpret that kind of nitpicking, whether it's justified or it's just out of complete and utter, oh, I want my opinion to come out.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, just unfortunately been how social media... Or that's been the state of social media for a while now. People... Yeah, just the fact that, like, negativity and hyperbole sells.
Yes.
And speaking of getting eyeballs, like, negativity definitely plays into, clickbait YouTube videos with AI-generated thumbnails, but...
Oh. Yeah. Yes. Also, when you say speaking of eyeballs, I thought you were about to tell me about the eyeball candy you got on Halloween.
Oh, no. No, it's just, referring to, like, viewership of something. But, like, with Nintendo Direct, I mean, anything branded Nintendo Direct is, like, gonna get traction anyways, so, like, really, again, they could have released the Mario portion as a separate video, but, like, it probably is actually better that it was bolted onto just this regular Direct. That's my opinion, but...
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm definitely on the fence on that, when it says I can't really say that I support either side. With that said, I do want to ask, speaking of Mario, do you think there was a good split between the first party and third party games in that Direct?
Let's see, I have the list up here.
Whilst he gets up that list, let me just quickly plug and say that's why we switched to Blue Sky, because it's less toxic. Go check out some Blue Sky.
Right. I still lurk on Twitter.
Same.
A bit, but I don't post anything anymore. It's just like, nope. I don't want to contribute to this. So, at this point, I still have easy access to Twitter set up on my devices for a reason. Completely different topic that I don't want to get into. It's just awaiting a particular day. Considering the fact that I live in the US.
Thanksgiving?
Yes, I want to see everyone's low-resolution pictures of food.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Not the burn I was expecting, but I was expecting the burn of the turkey. Anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this list, and yeah, maybe it skews a little bit more towards third party, but like, there's still a good amount of first party. And speaking of burns, I've kind of come to the thought that with any given direct, if there is just if there's little to nothing that catches your attention, you need to broaden your taste in games. It's like almost always I go in with no expectations and I come out pleasantly surprised. It's yeah.
That does work. That does work.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, granted, like first party stuff, the only like actually completely new games are a new Mario Tennis and a new Yoshi game. And to an extent, the DLC for Pokemon Legends ZA. Oh wait, no, the Fire Emblem game. Completely forgot that was what ended the direct.
Yeah, no, there was that too.
Mm-hmm. But like out of all the stuff that was announced, the things that I see myself actually buying or have actually bought are the Mario Galaxy Pack, the Switch 2 edition of Mario Wonder. I'm on the fence about the Yoshi game and tennis. Tomodachi Life, even though that like already announced before. Let's see. Again, something that was mentioned before or talked about before is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Definitely looking forward to that. I bought the Donkey Kong DLC as soon as I could, and I've been loving it.
A monkey's version of Splatoon 2's order.
Side order. Yeah. And then, like I know that was all like Nintendo stuff. I'm very looking forward to Danganronpa 2x2 just to see like how is this game going to justify its own existence, considering the way in which Danganronpa V3 ended. Not gonna go into spoilers, but like, like 2x2, so 2 times 2, 4. This is essentially like their way of doing a Danganronpa 4. And there's gonna be new story content. It'll
be funny, like in due time that you don't like it, and then you just go like all of a sudden on Blue Sky, a dead cartridge has been discovered.
Yeah. So, anyways, like that's all stuff that I'm like personally excited for and like know 100% that I want to buy. There's like other things that I'm on the fence about. Like, I keep thinking about maybe getting a Power Wash Simulator at some point, or I see the amiibo figures for Kirby Air Riders. I already have that game pre-ordered on the eShop, and I'm looking forward to playing that demo this weekend. Like, yes. Yes.
Just yes.
Mm-hmm. But, like, basically every direct, I have come out pleasantly surprised and looking forward to at least a handful of games. Like, if you continuously are disappointed in directs, it's maybe more so telling about that person's taste in games. And just the fact that they need...
taste and expectations of games, maybe.
Yeah, and that they always need AAA high-budget, recently released games that, like, they only ever play those when they're, like, in the cultural zeitgeist, and then they drop it when the next new shiny comes up.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't disagree on that at all. It's definitely a bummer sometimes when some of the first-party games kind of get the shunt. Like, I'm sure you know just as well as me that sadly, the Fire Emblem fan base internationally outside of Japan is not necessarily the strongest.
Yeah, and I kind of feel sorry for them just because of the reputation that series has gotten because of its oversaturation in Smash Brothers.
I think what's even sadder when you think about it is the concept of Fire Emblem doesn't really appeal to the American, like, I would say, I mean, that's just my opinion, the American context. Like, you think about, I think you can agree somewhat about this, that America's kind of revolving, when you think of America, you think of, like, action, high pace, fast pace sometimes.
Yeah, like, the general population here, like, if they're playing a video game, not just, like, a mobile game, but, like, a video game TM, they will often gravitate, to something that is action, like, in the action genre, that's, like, fast-paced, like, a lot of shooters, a lot of, like, sports games. That's, like, what the general population tends to gravitate towards, too.
Totally not the game that I'm playing, right?
Yeah. No, they wouldn't be caught dead playing Bejeweled. Really maybe just some, like, older folks who would be playing, like, Candy Crush on their iPhones at full brightness with the volume all the way up at the Applebee's.
Is there a universal story that I'm not hearing of?
No, it's just kind of like a stereotype that, like, a lot of older people will, like, have their screen brightness cranked, their volume blasting, and just in the most inappropriate places like a restaurant or just somewhere public. That's kind of what I was going for.
Imagine Candy Crush in a restaurant. Anyways, and back to the point, it definitely is very difficult to kind of strike that, for Nintendo to kind of strike that balance of ensuring that the games that are announced are at least appealing to most audiences, at least one way or another. I mean, in the first place, of course, let's be honest, it's so difficult again for them to even do it, considering how unpredictable game releases or game announcements are in the first place.
Yeah, like, you just saw that GTA 6 got another delay, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
If unpredictability is what's garnering game announcements, why are people being upset over something they can't control?
Right.
It just makes zero sense, which kind of, you could say, is one of the roots of why social media is no longer fun to visit sometimes, because people just complain about something they can't change.
Right, and it's... Thanks, Beagle Boy.
Oh, hey, Beagle. How you doing?
Yeah, so... Yeah, that's why, like, with certain topics, like, I kid you not, I have had a video talking positively about virtual game cards that I've actually had done for over a month. But for unrelated reasons, I just haven't posted it.
Ooh.
And probably in its current state won't get posted. It'll be spin off, like the information will be split off into different videos. But just the fact that someone would be talking positively about virtual game cards, like, yeah, it's, because apparently, like, I occasionally look online, especially on Reddit, which, I mean, probably isn't a good sample base. Yeah, people just, like, don't understand virtual game cards and just, like, hate them, but it solves certain issues and kind of, yeah, clamps down on some exploits that, like, should they have even been there in the first place, but
I think what's the bigger thing. I think what's the bigger thing about the fact that people will complain about that is just it's outside the norm. Like, this is the first time that such a concept is being put out. 100% you're gonna have people complaining straight away. It's sad because as a teacher who teaches neurodiverse, especially those who have autism, the one problem we do face, or should I say one challenge we face, sorry, the wrong word. The one challenge we do face is helping our students break out the norm sometimes and trying to be, like, you know, outside their comfort zone, which is often quite limited, their comfort zone. I feel like with social media, it's very similar. I hear you're about to say something about that.
Oh, well, maybe, but, yeah, it is definitely uncomfortable to, like, yeah, get out of your comfort zone and, like, maybe, like, I don't know, challenge a viewpoint that you have about something, like, specifically talking about gaming, and, like, end up, I don't know, I feel like I kind of lost the thought there.
No worries.
But
I can bring it all together with one word. Pride.
Yeah.
The fact that people don't want to, like, break down their own viewpoints just because they think their own viewpoints is only, like, the only one that's relevant. The fact that some people... Oh, go ahead.
And that it can never change.
Exactly.
And that it can never change.
Exactly. I think that's the saddest part about all of this. The fact that people are complaining sometimes could be also just the idea that they think that they are only important. They're their own king.
Yeah. This actually reminds me of something from, like, a whole section that I cut out from my video talking about Switch Online expansion pack after a year. I was talking about how it, like, even at that point, I think that was, like, 2022, so, like, 3-ish years ago. Even then, it felt like expansion pack was worth it for what it was offering. And I went on a whole thing about how it feels like so much of the hate that Switch Online still gets is just people doubling down on their initial gut reaction to what the service was back in 2018, when it's not that anymore.
That just upsets me hearing that.
Yeah, the fact that I felt like I had to cut that out of the video, because I did. Yeah, because it's like, in some ways, maybe the way that I said it was potentially antagonistic. But at the same time, it's like, I still stand behind that thought to a degree.
I see. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's definitely tricky. It's definitely tricky to even, like, consider that. And, you know, not upset so many people. So I understand where you're coming from with this. Anyways, last thing I just want to point out, I think maybe as a fun thing to ask, I think we all realized that in terms of big releases, Nintendo Directs kind of have that kind of formula already, where in the sense that either it's like, you have a big game in the front, then you have the big game in the back, just to make sure you have, like, audience retention. Do you think they should be putting more? Do you think there should be a bias on where these kind of games should be placed in the first place? And by that I mean,
bias.
should they have like more games, more big games being pushed to like the front of the direct, or more big games being pushed to the end of the direct?
I feel
Or would
like
you
it
say
should
neither?
almost.
It's okay to say neither.
Well, I feel like it for big like first party games, they should maybe be like spread out just more evenly, which insinuates that you would have like a big one at the start, big one at the end, like 2 or 3 like within the middle, broken up by some like smaller titles or like third party stuff. Because I feel like if you do like big first party game after big first party game after big first party game, people are just going to be like shot for the rest of the presentation. So like they have to space things out in order, not just for retention, but because they know that like big announcements are going to get a lot of people excited. So like they want to let those people like be excited and then not immediately go into, oh my gosh, another exciting thing. It's almost a good thing that like, oh, you get 1 or 2 big things at the start, and then a farming sim. Okay, I can kind of dissociate for a few minutes.
You and your farming sims, it's never gonna go away, is it?
Yeah, that one direct just caused so much of like a reputation, or that one direct had such a bad reputation for how many farming sims that it had, that any direct with farming sims going forward is just or anything that looks like a farming sim.
Moving along, I guess from what I'm hearing, you would say status quo with what Nintendo has been doing.
Yeah, like it obviously works.
I agree.
Because they keep doing it and the directs keep getting millions of views. It's like
bigger thing too.
If it's not if it's not broken,
why fix it?
Yeah, it's just this direct was a little bit of an anomaly because it had Mario anniversary stuff bolted onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and besides, we usually get a direct in January, so it's, in a sense, we're like roughly kind of almost to the halfway point, if you want to think about it that way.
Oh, very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very true. You mentioned earlier about, like, whether the Nintendo Switch Online was, like, worth it to buy. We're going to get into that soon-ish. We're talking about, like, when it's the best time to buy a new console, especially with the holidays coming up soon. But before that, let's actually talk about the actual Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, I'm not an owner, but I know Jazek is an owner of Nintendo Switch 2. We'll actually just be talking quickly about, like, what would you say are the best things about NS2 compared to NS1 at the moment?
Yeah. So, it, like, first off, like, just the bigger screen, like, I was already used to the Switch OLED. Oh, you can see the direct page that I have open.
Oh, there you go.
There in the reflection. Yeah, the bigger screen in and of itself has been such an upgrade, and like how you have the USB-C on the top as well as the bottom, so you can more easily charge in tabletop mode. It feels like specifically they wanted to improve tabletop mode because it was such like a mediocre to bad experience with the original Switch. I mean, like, OLED, it was fine because of the better kickstand, but you couldn't easily charge. The original Switch is, in hindsight, I don't think it was that great of an experience, even though I was, like, as the kids, they say, glazing it in my video about the original Switch back in 2019.
As a Gen Z, I'm not too sure if I should be disappointed by that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I even feel weird using that term because of what it's insinuating. But yeah, like just the hardware itself just feels so much better, so much more premium. Even though there's been some hubbub about the responsiveness of the screen, like specifically the like potential ghosting issues on the screen. Some days I notice it, other days I don't. And I don't know if that's...
What do you mean of ghosting?
Yeah.
Actually, I never heard of this.
So it's basically a screen's like inability to like cleanly, seamlessly go from one frame to another. If there's still remnants of the previous frame when a new one gets drawn, that's ghosting, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's been speculation on, like, is it, like, because of the actual display panel, like, itself? Is it just, like, the quality of it, of the panel? Or, through a software update, could they change, like, the voltage that it gets to, like, better, more cleanly go from frame to frame? And so, like, I definitely noticed something, like, slightly not off, just different with the screen the moment that I pulled it out of the box. It was kind of funny that it took weeks for Digital Foundry to post a video about it, and then everyone started talking about it. And it's like, okay, I mean, sure. It's, like, definitely if you're sensitive, like, super sensitive to it, you're not gonna like it. But, excuse me, I'm fairly sensitive to that sort of thing, but, like, over time, even going between both Switches, like, playing the same game between both systems, I've gotten to the point where, like, I don't notice it, and it doesn't, if I do notice it, it almost assuredly doesn't impact my enjoyment of the system. But that's, like, I would say that's very much so a nitpick, but also, when you're playing a game system, you're looking at the screen, so if there's anything wrong with the screen, it's gonna feel bad, to an extent. Although, again, it depends on the person. Yeah, like if I just boot it up here, it's, of course I put in my pin wrong, which, by the way, you can set up a security pin, like on your phone, so then people who aren't supposed to go onto your system cannot go on your system. It's a fun little feature. But yeah, even just scrolling through the home menu, I actually don't see it. I don't see the ghosting whatsoever. Which is, like, very funny that this has been an issue that so many people have harped on, that, like, yeah, it's there, but it's minimal. Yeah. But beside that, like, everything else about the system, except for storage, I've been absolutely loving it. It's compatible with nearly every...
Okay, not that kind of ghosting. I'm so dumb.
I was like, okay.
I am so dumb.
I was like, okay, I guess he's just, like, letting me go on, like, a whole tangent. It's like, oh, you're doing a bit. Okay.
Don't worry, I was hearing you on my mobile phone, because the nice thing about Twitch is that you can hear the stream on the outside. So I was hearing everything you were talking about with the improvements. Go ahead.
That's good. Okay. Yeah. So, like, just the fact that a lot of Switch games may not even need Switch 2 specific updates in order to run better or look better has been like a very surprising thing for a Nintendo system, because usually backwards compatibility means that it runs the exact same on the new hardware as it did on the previous hardware. There's been kind of some funny examples of games like that. Of all things, one of the first ones that I noticed where it was like that, where it didn't need a Switch 2 specific update to look and run better, Wheel of Fortune.
Ah.
On the original Switch, it runs at like an inconsistent 30. Switch 2, locked 60. Super clean graphics.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I've been playing a bit of fitness boxing here and there. From what I hear on Fitness Boxing 3 specifically, from what I've heard on like people who've played on the original Switch, is that it runs at a steady frame rate, but it's like 30 FPS, which for a game that is dependent on rhythmic inputs basically, it's not exactly great. But on Switch 2, locked 60. Absolutely smooth. I'm just trying to look through here. I know, like, games that actually got Switch 2 updates. One of them specifically was Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Specifically in that Bowser's Fury portion, when you're playing on the original Switch, that runs at 30 when you're undocked. Which it takes like a couple minutes getting used to with how smooth the game runs at 60. But on Switch 2, because of the update, like, it runs at 60 in handheld, and it's like, it wasn't unplayable before, but excuse me, it just feels a lot better to play on 60. Yeah, although because of the method that they are using for backwards compatibility, that being more of like what would be considered a translation layer, it's not emulating original Switch games. They talked about this in the Ask the Developer. They tried, like, straight up emulating Switch 1 games on the Switch 2, and they said it just drained the battery too fast, so instead it's a translation layer where it's in real time converting, like, different calls to different parts of the hardware to something that the Switch 2 itself understands, because it's not the same hardware.
Okay.
And yeah, it's kind of like how the Steam Deck can play Windows-only games even though the Steam Deck runs Linux, but because of the Proton compatibility layer, Windows-only games, whatever calls that it makes for Windows-specific features, Proton can handle that just fine and still have the game run perfectly on Linux. Case in point, Sackboy: A Big Adventure is a Windows-only game on Steam, but it runs on Linux because of the Proton compatibility layer that Steam has.
Interesting.
So, yeah, although because of that compatibility layer, sometimes for certain games you get compatibility issues. Probably one of the most notorious ones that was maybe not discovered, but like we knew about it going into the launch because Nintendo talked about it on like their compatibility pages. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, it like you could play it and it ran, but there were like graphical issues and like flashing colors. And I guess maybe in some instances, yeah, there were times where it actually affected gameplay. Now that I'm thinking back to footage that I saw before, it's just kind of funny that that game specifically had like some mild beef, or it incited some like mild beef between a couple YouTubers. It was more so one of them saying, yeah, it sucks, but the game's gonna get updated soon, so is it that big of a deal? And the other one was like, this is unplayable, why are you saying this? And trying to egg on the other one. And it's like,
what, that's how I like my burritos, by the way.
Oh, what was that?
Yeah, that's how I like my burritos, by the way.
With beef?
Mild beef.
Mm-hmm. But it was funny that was... it was funny that happened, and then, like, a week or two later, it was updated, and all of that was just negated. Like, people have probably forgotten about it at this point.
I think Joustek is not liking my jokes anymore.
It's just like I don't really know how to respond to them. It's like, okay. So yeah, otherwise, like, backwards compatibility has been great. Probably my only other like big complaint with the system itself is storage, and I know when we were watching the Direct, it was something that I mentioned a bit, is like, oh, this requires microSD express cards, where I had within the past year purchased the SanDisk 1.5 terabyte microSD card for my original Switch. I have... I'm trying to think, like, it's about 700 gigs of that open. So it's, at the very least, it's actually more full than you'd think. And so I bought that with the thought of, okay, well, if the Steam Deck uses standard micro SD cards, what shot is there that the new Nintendo system is going to use micro SD Express cards? And then it forced the use of micro SD Express cards. So, yeah.
I'll admit in due time, when I do indeed buy my Switch 2, which I'll get into that in due time, I will have to be cautious about like what I should be purchasing. Definitely going to be resourcing you and some other people I probably will get a Switch 2, just to understand like the internet dynamics of ensuring like the best Switch 2 experience regardless of what games you're playing.
Yeah. So, well, with the Express cards specifically, because they are a newer type of microSD card, basically any brand that sells them, it's from a reputable company where there's going to be a like good to high level of quality. Because back when the original Switch launched, a lot of people got duped because of like scam micro SD cards that said that they were 512 gigabytes but only held 4.
What? Excuse me?
Yeah, that was a big thing during the launch period of the original Switch. People found out that was a thing.
Oh, yikes.
And so that's why I always recommend to people that if you're buying new storage, like a hard drive or an SD card like that, only ever buy brand name cards. Like SanDisk, Samsung, Lexar, PNY, maybe others that I'm forgetting. those brands specifically for SD cards, because that then you'll know that you're getting an actual good quality card. And yeah, if specifically you're buying off of Amazon, click the name of the seller and make sure it goes to their actual brand page. So like for Samsung, make sure it goes to Samsung. For SanDisk, yeah, same. But anyways, the upside to them forcing the use of microSD Express cards is that they have much faster read and write speeds for data. So that means, yeah, just faster load times, faster downloads as well. You can download so much more stuff, and like within a noticeably shorter amount of time compared to the original Switch. It is actually, it feels insane.
So far, what I'm really hearing overall is the idea that, you know, with the Switch 2, the difference really can be felt.
Yes.
Now, that's a huge thing to hear, because when you consider that it's like a very similar console that was released beforehand, and usually with like the console that's like, you know, the same name, just a different label, it's like, oh, probably it's very similar. No, when you actually are telling me you can feel the difference inside, it's actually a big deal. It's a very good big deal at that.
Yeah, and especially with like the two big first-party titles that I have right now, that being Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, just the scope of Mario Kart World specifically, yeah, there's qualms with the open free roam mode, but just the fact that everything takes place on a giant interconnected continent is wild. And also with Donkey Kong Bonanza, how like 95% of the terrain of a given level, is destructible. And it's not like specific patches of like terrain that are like interactable. No, it's pretty much everything that you can see, unless if there's a good reason for it to not be destructible, like being a hard like obsidian or like full of spikes or whatever. But even then, there's ways that you can destroy those. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. More.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I mean, it's funny that I mentioned about, you know, the fact that you can really feel the difference with the Switch 2 compared to Switch 1. When you look at the sales, I was looking at the stats earlier. How about this? 5.8 million copies in the first month. Consoles versus 2.74 million on the first Switch.
Yeah.
Doubling, like, even more than that, the sales in the first month. Like, what?
Yeah, like, for whatever gripes and qualms that people have,
price points versus like maybe you could think of the PS5, the one that was so memed about.
Right. Like, despite everything, it's still flying off the shelves, and it's because it's just such a improvement to like performance, build quality as well. And like someone like me who has a big collection of Switch games, like those can all more or less all be played. I know specifically Overcooked All You Can Eat edition, excuse me, isn't actually compatible with the Switch 2 right now. That's, I guess, still being worked out, even though Switch 2 edition of Overcooked 2 was announced recently, but that's beside the point. Yeah. Like, a lot of people have big Switch libraries, so being able to carry that over, and so many of them are getting enhancements either through updates or just inherently with how the game was developed. And the fact that you can use original Switch controllers on the Switch 2, you just have to pair Joy-Con wirelessly. You can still plug a Pro controller in if you want to do it that way, or use its sync button as well. It's just like, it is exactly what it needed to be, and that's exactly what so many people wanted out of a new Nintendo system, that it's still funny just to see all the complaints that it still gets, where it's like, when those recent sales numbers dropped, it's like, all of the negativity meant nothing. This thing is still selling, and we're not even in the holiday season.
Right, that's a scary thought. Like, we could potentially see 10 million devices by the end of 2025.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. So,
I mean, I think the TLDR, Nintendo, that's pretty much the reason why it sold so well.
yeah, it's exactly what it needed to be. It's exactly what so many people wanted it to be, and it's successful because of that.
Dadgummit, you know what's the first thing that came to mind?
What?
I guess you could say Nintendo Switch is like Portal.
Yeah.
I hate to
I mean,
make that comparison, but someone who actually just recently looked back to my Let's Play and thinking about it, I was like, oh my goodness, it's kind of true. Like, you could say the Nintendo Switch 1 was kind of like the prototype, because whilst it was somewhat great, it had so many flaws.
Mm-hmm.
And then now with the Switch 2, it's like, oh, this is fixed, oh, that is fixed, but still keeping within the Switch 1 narrative. Just way better, as you have been discussing. Very, very well at that.
Yeah. I mean, even the console itself resembles Portal 2 with the colors. It's
You're
the blue
right.
and it's like a salmony orange almost. So
My point has ground, yay.
Yay.
But yeah,
So.
as I said, considering with all that plus sides and all that stuff, I really am thinking of getting that Switch for myself too. Which brings me to our last point. I mean, this podcast is going to be a bit shorter than usual, but that's just because we're still getting back to the use of things. I should ask, toilet break, do you need, Isaac?
I mean, I could. I could.
I know you took a toilet break
So.
right before this, but if you need to, go ahead.
Yeah, I may as well. So.
Yeah. I'll also have a water break myself as I continue playing.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst we're having a bit of a break from the conversations, let me just quickly give some updates. I'm still kind of struggling to get Luxor Amon Rising finished. I'm down to 4 episodes left I need to record, or 4 videos at least. The 5th one might be the easiest one to record in IMO, and you'll see why in due time. Let's just say it's been a struggle, but I'm getting there at least amidst all the work, and I'm just hoping that by the time 2026 around, I will have a new Flash Fridays Let's Play pretty much up and running, to say the least. I will probably have a few flashbacks before the new year comes out, so that at least there is some continuity with the uploads, instead of just like having a break. Which, geez, nothing about it. I'm on to year 5 of Flash Fridays at that. New Let's Plays for 2026 have been recorded. I also been selling on them. I promised some friends of mine that I'll be doing this and that. But in due time, of course, we'll just have to see where the, I will be able to get them off considering. But I'm just hoping that I can have a much better 2026 in terms of gaming compared to 2025. As I said, many updates to come. I just hope that, I want to get the job done, basically. Both of my work and stuff. So, Emily, this is actually going to be the only stream for quite some time. The next time I stream, I can tell you this. It'll probably be the stream where I just shout freedom, because that's when I'll finish my university studies, hopefully, and all that good stuff. I'm just hoping that in due time I don't fall flat on my face, because there's still quite a bit of stuff to do. I definitely have my own responsibilities to keep, and all that good stuff. But that said, for those wondering, the reason I say at the start of the podcast about, a podcast being put together by AI is for that I kind of used Gemini to help me out with this. I know this is an iPad, but I typed it all on Gemini. I typed it all on Gemini. I typed it all on my iPad through Gemini, and honestly, it really helped with some of our conversation points. And definitely trying to garner a bit more of use of it. Now, of course, I'm not going to use it all the time, let alone only rely on it. Definitely, I have some of my own decisions to make on whether the question is relevant, whether the question is meaningful or not to the conversation, especially knowing that I still don't have a Switch 2. So that's why I had to, really understand what Gemini was trying to tell me, so that I was like, okay, I can take this, or nah, please give me something else. Well, that's it. CJ, I'll say you're back.
Yes.
Now we're on to our final point. I was actually talking about when I will probably get my Switch 2, which is maybe a bit later, when I see the big hitters coming in potentially, or maybe it's a drop in price or a sale I see. We'll have to see. But with that said, I do have to ask, with the holiday season incoming, when do you think is the best time to buy a new console?
Yeah, so...
I think to clarify, it's not only just Nintendo Switch 2 we're talking about. It could be any console, like maybe PS5, as I said before, Xbox Series, of course, is a thing. I think we could even throw it back to the younger years, the 3DS, potentially.
Yeah. I think one factor that may drive someone to buy a new system sooner, even if they don't get a lot of the new games, funnily enough, ties back into a point that I was talking about, is backwards compatibility. Can you play your current library on the new system? Are there any improvements, which is kind of a newer concept, I think, especially with the PS5 and Xbox Series X. That sort of idea has been kind of more accepted and almost expected to a degree. And Switch 2 does basically the same thing. So, that could be a factor in someone choosing to get a new system, is that oh, well, I can still keep playing all my games, but maybe some of them will get improvements. Another one, kind of like what you talked about, is how long do I want to wait until the heavy hitters really release, and first party support, which is really only a thing at this point that can happen with Nintendo systems, because Xbox don't know what the heck they're doing. And with first party exclusives, and with Sony, so much of their stuff is on Steam. So if you already have access to a decent PC, what point is there in getting a PS5?
So what you're saying to me is Valve killed Sony? Okay, no, not really,
Sony,
but...
Well, no, more like Sony asked Steam to kill Sony. because Sony are the ones that, put their own games onto Steam. So, in a sense, they're doing it to themselves.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah, even if it does mean that they're getting money that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, maybe, there was really no good reason for me to get a PS5, although I was kind of wanting to play Sackboy, but then that was brought to Steam, so it's oh, okay,
Never mind.
that's how I'm playing that. So
That's kind of funny. It's funny that we mentioned. You mentioned about the pros and cons. There was one con you mentioned about like inaccessibility to like newer well, more so like is the weight is more yearningful, if that makes sense. Like just the idea of like, oh, can we please get new games for this console, please?
yeah,
Versus the idea of, so many games I can choose from. Which one should I choose? That's kind of me when I bought my Switch one. And also when I bought my new Nintendo 3DS XL. Because I remember when I bought my new Nintendo 3DS XL, the first game two games I got was Pokemon Moon and Pokemon Omega Ruby. And then when it came to Nintendo Switch, I bought both Let's Go Eevee. Eevee. And I also bought Sonic Mania. Although, admittedly, I gotta admit, that purchase of Sonic Mania may not have been the best decision.
Oh, how so?
It's just the fact that I wasn't able to stream it or properly play it to an audience because as you know, I'm a Let's Play myself. So when I realized I could have just bought Sonic Mania on Switch, also on Steam, I was just like, man, I feel slightly dumb. Now I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I end up using Sonic Mania as a bit of a audio player sometimes because the music.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, I guess for the, waiting for the big releases, I suppose that comes down to, someone's, taste in games. Is there enough there that, you would feel satiated at this point? Are there enough things or enough games that you want to get that once you get all of those, that then the newer releases start satiating you, even though you shouldn't only buy new releases? Check out some sales sometimes of smaller things. But then also, I'm pretty sure you mentioned this, is waiting for a price drop. I say that, but anyone waiting for a price drop, specifically for the original Switch, has still been waiting because it hasn't gone down in price. In fact, in the US, it's gone up.
Oh, jeez. Vintage.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's that used to be something that people did, but at this point, it's almost the reverse of, if you have the means to get one, maybe you should get one sooner, even if there isn't enough to where you would always be playing it. But at the same time, maybe you shouldn't always be playing games either. Have other hobbies.
Just don't play.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No.
I know. It sounds
spicy.
It sounds crude, but honestly, it's the truth. Admittedly.
The average person doesn't always continuously play games. They'll play something for a while, put it down, and go do literally anything else.
Oh, jeez. You know what just came to my mind?
What?
Maybe that's why everyone keeps complaining. They're all spoiled toys. They keep playing. All play, no work makes Jack a spoiled toy.
Yeah, or they only ever care about video games and don't care to go watch movies or TV or actually do something active. Which, again, every time I talk about this idea or things relating to this, it just feels like I'm throwing shade at people, but there's some amount of truth to that.
There is, sadly.
Yeah. And ever since I've been broadening my horizons more, it's just I've been playing, I really haven't been bored with gaming in years. And I'm not always playing new stuff. I'm playing older stuff, or more niche stuff, rather. last year, probably one of the like surprise hits that I played through was a point-and-click adventure game that takes place in a fictitious 90s internet.
What?
It's, yeah, Hypnospace Outlaw. It's on everything. Play it. It is borderline a work of art in storytelling, specifically. It's... yeah. Play it. And don't rush through it. Take your time. Explore everything. Yeah, what point was I don't know. That was probably this episode's just like tangent to where it's like, what was I even trying to get to in the first place? But just like, yeah, anyways. Yeah, it's, I don't know, what would be like other, factors do you think that would like go into someone, or factor into someone considering a new console?
I think maybe also the appeal, you gotta admit. Like, when you see the upgrades, so to speak, a person could have going from one console to another, you could also say that as a contributing factor, the idea of like a person seeing like, oh wait, bigger screen, yes please, or like, oh, bigger space, yes, I can hold all my games. It also could also be, I definitely just said also 3 times, it can also be an idea of having more that really sells it to a person. And yes, I did just say only more, because having more is technically what people want, sadly. It's a consumeristic world.
Yeah, for better or for worse. It's
so it just comes down sometimes as people just saying, I just want more. And when Nintendo gives more, then they take the more, basically.
Yeah, given, or, yeah, if back earlier in the year, the threat of, here in the US, like, tariffs kind of screwing up prices, like, yeah, to an extent they have, but, like, if that wasn't a factor, I probably would have actually held off on getting the Switch 2, because I almost always have waited some time before getting the new console. Because I didn't get the original 3DS until 2011, Christmas 2011, when it released earlier that year. Or, I waited like a month before upgrading to the new 2DS XL. I had like gotten the original 3DS XL before that, but that was like several years after that iteration released. I waited until July of 2018 before getting the original Switch. Mostly, like, a lot of the times I liked to wait to get a system, because then you know for sure if there's any issues with the launch hardware, that those are ironed out. That being said, I felt pretty confident with getting a Switch 2 at launch, because it's already an established form factor that, yeah, sure, it's changed in a lot of ways, but it's still, at its core, like, based on a form factor that has stayed the same, and yeah, sure is yeah, basically things haven't switched up too much. I saw that redeem, and it's like, I don't think I have to do this, but I'm gonna try to.
Well, you did it for me, so I don't have to make one.
Yeah, incorporate a switching up pun. Oh, you're welcome, Night Matrix. But yeah, just the fact that it's like essentially what we've already had, but like improved internally, I was perfectly comfortable with getting one at launch. And so it's just been like a interesting experience for me just in that regard, because this is the first time that I've bought a console at launch. Well, if you want to do another one, I will refrain from from making a pun.
Got it, Patrick.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been interesting in that regard. But then, like, completely unrelated, but like the first time that I went to a midnight launch for a system, that was fun. We verbally berated someone who got dropped off from a Cybertruck. That was fun.
Josh, does not see my face, but I think we just did like a, was I guess like, excuse me.
I mean, they're a meme that like it's a like a dumpster on wheels. That's the design of a Cybertruck. Is even like at some point later, like it was dropping off a kid, like no, not blaming the kid because they didn't have any say in their dad's purchasing decisions.
What do you mean, Dad? I contributed $2 to this Cybertruck.
Yeah, it's like sometime later, after the dad dropped off his kid, he came back and he parked right next to my car, and so I was like, oh yeah, of course it would park next to mine. Yeah. Beside the point, it's...
Would you say this is a new form of cyberbullying?
Yes. Yes. Buying one of those is basically just like putting a giant kick me metaphoric sticker on your back. But anyways, like even just the like getting to experience a console launch for the first time, knowing that all of us are gonna get this new hardware all at the same time, and like seeing all the people before me like getting their boxes, like, oh my gosh, it is real. Yeah, it was just overall like, yeah, enjoying it. I'm in hindsight glad that I got it at launch, out of possibly a reason that never ended up actually coming to fruition, that being getting it before it would get tariffed to hell and back, but thankfully that hasn't happened. It's more so like the accessories, like a pair of the new Joy-Con are $100 US. When the original like announced price was $90, and the price of them got increased $5 and then increased $5.
Marketing.
I think
we're not gonna get into that.
Yeah, but suffice it to say, I've been enjoying the Switch 2, especially with it being the first console that I've gotten at launch. But I also like completely understand why people are holding off on it still, because of the price, because it is $150 more than the base standard Switch. So maybe people just need more time to accrue like those kinds of funds, or there's just not enough compelling like exclusive software for it yet for those people. Perfectly understandable. Yeah, it's like I've been enjoying it, but it's like I don't blame anyone for not wanting to get one still. That's kind of goes back into the the Nintendo Direct discussion of, like, this most recent Direct, yeah, sure, there was, like, a good handful of first-party stuff, but I don't think it's the kind of first-party stuff that a lot of people were hoping. Mostly 3D Mario. Even though we kind of already got that with Bonanza, but people are adverse to playing something that isn't Mario, even though it's just as good as Odyssey, if not better in some regards, but besides the point.
Even that line itself is gonna, like, ruffle some feathers, and they don't even have feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Just the internet we're living, sadly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
with that said, though, I think for my case, when I think about, what would garner me, I mean, I mainly also sales, because sometimes when I got my games, I still remember when I bought my Switch, it came along with a discount where I was able to get, like, a game that was like $50 or less. No, $50 or more. Sorry, as for free.
Oh wow.
And they also applied, like, the protective sheet on my Switch straight away, like, very cleanly at that. So that was actually kind of one of the biggest things for me as to why I bought my Switch. I would also admit also was a puzzle story that was kind of depressing that caused me to buy it.
Oh.
So yeah, there's so many reasons why I bought my Switch that can be applied to many other people out there.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I think my microphone is catching a car that's
I can hear
has a noisy engine. It's lighting up my Discord, so it's like it's catching something from it.
Well, I don't hear it at least, so you're fine.
Sorry.
It could be just like 1 decibel on my end, so that's why.
Yeah.
Because for some reason Discord or somewhat suppresses your voice for some reason, which is weird.
Yeah, and like you can alter those settings. I think I have a slight noise gate.
Yeah. By the way,
mine.
For those who wondering why I put my head to my face, you know what was the word I was about to say before I had to quickly draw back?
What?
I was about to say amputate your sound.
Oh.
I was just like, 12, wrong word. That's not the word for it.
Yeah. I was trying to see if there was like a dumb joke that I could make with that, but it's like, no.
Nah, I got the leg up on you, buddy. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut it off at the head there. Even that wasn't great. The head. I don't know.
Anyways, do you think it's smarter? I mean, do you think? Oh yeah, well actually we discussed about this. I mentioned it earlier. Like, is it worth the cost premium to be an early owner? But it sounds like in this situation, it looks like it is.
It is. Whereas, if you already have a good like library of Switch 1 games built up that have Switch 2 enhancements.
True.
Especially if you're still playing like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, those games, like, it almost feels illegal how good they run on Switch 2.
Well, here's the thing. I'm sure some of the people have been talking about this, but there have been videos out there where people have said Nintendo, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet speedruns have been absolutely shattered because of the Switch 2.
Yeah, just better, more consistent frame rate. I think even the spawn. Yeah, and like the spawn rate of Pokemon is increased, like more up here than on Switch 1.
I question that.
Or something like that.
I question that because honestly, with the original Switch that I was playing for so long, I wouldn't say it was that bad.
Okay. I wasn't saying that it was bad. It's just that if I've heard correctly, there's just more Pokemon that spawn on Switch 2.
Yeah, so, but it wasn't like, horrific in Switch 1 in the first place, admittedly.
Right. But yeah, like, other than that, like, again, I don't, like, I can, I can see why people would still be holding out on getting a Switch 2, like, just talking about the games, even though there are, like, good games to play, people are wanting the big heavy hitters still of 3D Mario, Smash Brothers, that sort of thing, which it'll be interesting going forward seeing what series get a new entry first versus getting a Switch 2 edition of a game that's already out.
True.
Yeah. Switch 2 editions are, like, they're a whole, like, interesting beast of some of them being, like, borderline, like, DLC that's exclusive to the new hardware, like with Kirby Forgotten Land or Mario Wonder. But others where it's, like, the Switch 2 edition of Animal Crossing where it's just 4K and mouse controls, and that's really it. And the megaphone that was already in New Leaf, so tack that onto the list of features that were added in Animal Crossing New Horizons that, like, via an update, that were already in the base game of Animal Crossing New Leaf. So, yeah. Anyways.
No, it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah. The fact that they they knew that they were releasing Mario Kart World as a launch title, so, like, the big, like, sought-after bundle was the Mario Kart bundle.
Sorry, I have to go off a tangent real quick. You see how close my progress bar is on that level? You see how close it is?
I don't have the stream view up.
That's just how, like, intense the last few levels are. I'm only down to the last 100 levels, what I was wondering. Like, this is how dumb it is just to get through the level now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
There we
but,
go,
like,
finally.
Just the fact that they, like, did that hardware bundle where you get Mario Kart for nearly half off, because it retails for $80, but for $80 US, but getting it through the bundle, you save $30, so it's, like, almost half off, if you want to think about it like that.
True.
Which, in that regard, I paid less for that game than I did 8 Deluxe. So, yeah. It almost seems like that's just gonna be kind of a norm with Switch 2, is that there's gonna be some kind of, like, official game bundle, because, they're doing a bundle with Pokemon Legends ZA Switch 2 Edition. So, and it's the same deal. I think it's, you end up saving $20 with that because it's, the game itself retails for $70, the Switch 2 Edition does. So, yeah. If I'm just saying that like it's fact, but I'm actually gonna check the webpage. Yes, yep, retails for the same $4.99 like the Mario Kart bundle does. So, or if you don't care about Mario Kart or Pokemon, you can just get the base system for $4.50. But it does kind of help if you're wanting to play one of those games or the other, because then you save a little bit, but it's not that big of a savings, but it's something for a new first-party Nintendo game.
That's very true. Who knows, maybe I'll get like well actually I think about it. Maybe in due time I find like a design of a Switch that I really like. Potentially that might be my drawing in as to why I would buy. But we'll see.
Yeah, and there is also the option that, like, if you don't see yourself using your current system after getting the new system, you can do the system transfer process before you sell or trade in your current system. It basically uploads all your save data, all your screenshots and videos, everything that it would normally transfer directly to the new system, it uploads it to the cloud. And then when you get the Switch 2, you log in with your Nintendo account, it'll see that data and download all of it, so you're not losing anything. But you still get the advantages of selling or trading in your old system.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see in due time once. I mean, it's definitely this is definitely very good information for me to consider when it comes to my Switch. We'll definitely see what really like is going to be my trigger to say, you know what, Switch 2.
Yeah, Switch 2, Switch 2.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, before we end off, there is one more question that kind of was brought up that Gemini honestly did a very good job with this one. Do you think Nintendo's really gonna shut down all of Nintendo Switch 1 anytime soon? I mean, they just released new games for the Switch 1 anyways.
Yeah, and there's still new Switch 1 games coming out next year in Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven. Those are both coming out next year. We don't know when.
Which kind of leans to like your joke I remember you made, like, I would say months ago, where you said that if the game is releasing Rhythm Heaven or something like that, okay, you know that's the end of the life of the console.
Yeah, it's the harbinger of death.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how well that video has aged. I was like, this feels correct. It's fine if it doesn't, but this is what I'm feeling.
I have a strong feeling in the end is just going to be adding like the video thumbnail on the screen right now. Once I pass him this footage.
But just the fact that, like, I had a good feeling that there was still a good year or two of Switch 1 releases that ended up being correct. Because, like, I released that video early 2023. There ended up being a solid 2 years still of releases. And, like, there was still also support for Splatoon 3 that was, like, still promised. So it's like, okay, are they going to still actively support a Splatoon game when Splatoon is, like, such a big franchise? Like, that,
right.
Why would they continue, like, supporting a game that is from an old system with, like, major new content, as opposed to just putting those resources into a new game for the new hardware? Is that the fact that Game Boy Advance was just added to Switch Online at that point, so, like, okay, maybe if all this stuff is carrying over, then sure, the new system might release soon, but at that point it's like, it was still operating under the assumption that all this stuff is getting reset with the new system, like how it did going from Wii to Wii U, how it had its own virtual console and everything, but it's like, oh, no, it all just carried over. Great.
Yeah.
Another just whole tangent that it's like, yeah, I ended up being very much so on the money.
It's so crazy though. I mean, even then, I'm just hoping that for now, that Switch 1 kind of sees its way until like 2027. Like, that's my hopes.
Oh, it's definitely still gonna be supported, especially because Switch 1 games are playable on Switch 2, so at the very least, like, even if they lessen production of physical Switch games, they're still going to be offered on the Switch 2 eShop. I don't see any reason why they would stop.
I just realized a bigger thing we need to consider. When Nintendo 3DS XL died, the Nintendo Switch the 3DS is foldable. It's compactable. It's not like though it's a very bulky thing that, it's so hard to keep. When you think about the Nintendo Switch 1, it is bulkier compared to the 3DS XL. You have the problem, of course, of being able to keep it because even though you have like a patch, it kind of just still sticks out more of some of them compared to the 3DS XL.
Yeah.
So I wonder, based on that point, if that is one of the key reasons why we may not see the death of Switch 1 anytime soon, considering that Nintendo is considering themselves, okay, people may be keeping their Switch 1s anyways, because what's the point of throwing it out? It's like one of those things, or it's like giving away. It's like, it's so hard.
Yeah, especially if someone has a Switch Lite, like that's the smallest one,
that too.
The most portable one. Yeah.
Even that one is a bit weirdly shaped.
Yeah, like, you shouldn't really put... That's the thing about just the Switch in general, is that it's not very pocketable. Compared to, like, the DS, 3DS, Game Boy.
Nope. I still remember using my 3DS XL as a tracker for my steps.
Yeah, pedometer.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I have a shoulder sling bag that can fit the Switch or Switch 2 in, as I have thin cases for both, to still essentially carry it hands-free, because it can't fit in a pocket. So having not quite a bespoke bag, but just a bag that I bought, really, like, the only reason is to carry a Switch easily around in. So, yeah. I do see them within, like, 2 to 3 years making a Switch 2 Lite. Even though it's feels early to be talking about that sort of, like, refresh speculation. If anything, as a way to have a more affordable option to get people to so then they can, like, buy more, so then they can actually, like, buy Switch 2 games. Don't know why that was hard. Basically, like, a easier way to get people into the door to upgrade that yeah, even if it still retains a lot of the caveats of the original Switch Lite of it's only a portable, it maybe doesn't have rumble, I feel like they would keep the same kind of screen on it of 1080p 120 hertz HDR. Maybe they would remove the HDR. I don't know.
We'll see in due time.
Basically, I feel like it's not out of the realm of possibility that we're not gonna see a Switch 2 OLED for probably 4 years or more. Because between the original Switch being announced and the OLED, like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It was like 4.5 years between the announcements of both of those systems.
Okay.
So I've seen people say, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait for the OLED model, like, in 1 or 2 years. No, you're gonna be waiting double that.
Aha.
If anything, yeah, they're gonna release a budget friendly model before then. You want to know why I feel confident in that?
Oh?
Is that the 3DS was really one of the first like big jumps in the cost of a console, or a cost of a portable console for Nintendo. Despite the price drop of the original system, it was $170, which I think the DS Lite for the longest time was like $120-ish, or eventually went to like $100. So it was very affordable for someone to get Nintendo handheld for Pokemon. The original 2DS, which was a budget-friendly 3DS, released the same time as Pokemon, making the full generational transition to the 3DS. And with the Switch Lite, that released around the same time that Pokemon made the full generational transition to Switch. It's a Pokemon machine.
You know what? That's actually very true. I kind of... It took me a bit to understand what you meant of generation transition. Until you mentioned about, like, between consoles. I believe I get it now.
Yeah, like, between the 3DS releasing and X and Y coming out, I think, wasn't it around the time that the 3DS released, Black and White released, like...
Black and White was 2011.
Yeah, so same year. And then Black and White 2...
2012.
Released... Yes, and that was funny because there were 3DS eShop applications that, like, had connections to, like, Black and White 2 that you could do, like, extra and, like, exclusive things and exclusive features with those games if you were playing them on 3DS.
Yeah.
And then, excuse me, when did Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon come out?
2017?
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Took me a bit of a while to clarify myself.
Moon... Let's see. Yeah, the Switch was already out.
And then Sword and Shield was 2019, I can tell you that right now.
Yep. And 2019 is when the Switch Lite released, so...
Wow.
Really, like, they are... Especially with the reputation that the Switch 2 has of its price, they're gonna want to... They're almost assuredly already in the works trying to figure out how to get this thing more affordable for the audience that primarily plays Nintendo systems for Pokemon.
You know what's scary?
What?
Legends ZA came out recently, and whilst it has been a few months since Switch 2 was released, you can't deny that this Pokemon train that you mentioned is very on the nose.
Yeah.
So, does this potentially mean that once Gen 10 is announced, we are guaranteed a Switch 2 Lite / Switch 2 Pro / Switch 2 OLED, as you mentioned?
It would be specifically a Lite or some kind of, like, budget-friendly option, but yes.
I think we can set that in stone.
Yeah, it's happened with the past two console transitions. My pattern recognition says that it's gonna happen again.
And I can't disagree with that, the way you said it.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Because there's... Yeah.
Hang on. Could we apply this to previous ones? Emerald was 2004? Yeah, it's 4. Was that when DS came out?
Let's see, 2004. It would have been, I think that's a couple months before DS released.
But that's the same
Nintendo
year all the
DS.
more, right?
Yeah, Emerald released September 2004.
And the DS...
I believe was November. Yes, November 2004.
There we go. Diamond Pearl
So-
Platinum... Wait, no, but Diamond Pearl Platinum might be the oddity here. Or is it? DP was 2006. Platinum was 2009. And then Heart Gold Soul Silver was 2010, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I should know that because I'm doing a Let's Play of that.
Yeah. I think Pokemon was more prompt with going to the new system, so going from Game Boy to Game Boy Color, and then from Color to Advance, and then from Advance to DS, because Nintendo systems back then were just generally so much more affordable for more people. So it's like, oh, they only have to spend $100-something for the new thing. It's only a little bit more for the new Pokemon. We can start transitioning to making the next gen for the new thing sooner.
Well, there you go.
They likely started to stagger the transition to the new console with the 3DS, because it initially retailed for $250, was brought down to $170, which back then for a Nintendo handheld was still kind of a bit much compared to what we were used to. So that's why they've kind of been staggering that a little bit more, is they don't want to make people feel as though they have to get the new system sooner to still be able to continue playing the new games. Because Pokemon has generally appealed to the more casual, and like, yeah, just like a wider, more like diverse audience. And a lot of those people are likely more cost conscious.
I can see that.
So.
And I can agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's quite cool, though, that this tangent might be one of the best ones we've had, considering that we never really crossed my mind the pattern that was behind how Pokemon released their games.
Yeah, it was something that I noticed around the same time as the Switch Lite, and it's like, wait, they did this with the 2DS. Huh.
And the 3DS. And the DS.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was more apparent with the 3DS and then the Switch.
Didn't the Game Boy Advance come out 2003, now thinking about it? No, 2002.
That's a good question. 2001 in Japan.
Oh wait, Japan, but America?
Looking at Wikipedia. Ooh, excuse me. It's March 2001 in Japan, June 2001 for North America.
Oh, that might be the slight oddity there. Unless you're telling me Game Boy Advance was 2001, which I'm pretty sure isn't.
Game Boy Advance?
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about, is Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, 2001? Yeah, no, that's the oddity then. Because Ruby Sapphire came... Wait. No. Crystal came out 2000.
Okay.
Crystal came out 2000, then Game Boy Advance 2001, and I'm pretty much 2003... 2 or 3, when Ruby and Sapphire came out. Wait, the Game Boy Advance SP?
2002 Ruby and Sapphire released November
How about
2002.
the SP?
Game Boy. Well, there's the thing, is that it's Game Boy Advance SP was like not like a more cost-conscious console. If anything, it was a more premium option. So like you
It just
didn't
allowed
need
you
to
to play
get
Game
one.
Boy Color and Game Boy games.
Game Boy Advance SP. Just use the. I think that was 2003.
Oh yeah.
February 2003 in Japan, March in North America and PAL.
See, that one is a bigger bounty at that, considering that you could play Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So anyone who owned that could play all 3 generations with just one console.
Yeah, and I mean, the original Game Boy Advance is also backwards and compatible with Game Boy and Game Boy Color games.
Wait, was it?
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't. That's why they made the SP version.
Nope.
Really?
No, the only Game Boy that didn't have backwards compatibility with any of the previous systems was the Micro, and that was 2004.
Ah.
But that was more of like borderline a boutique, like novelty device, if anything.
Interesting. Well, I might have to reset my thought on the Game Boy Advance SP then, because I always thought, oh, I have a device that allows me to play any kind of Game Boy game. Did not know that this could apply to the original Game Boy Advance.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's the gap between a new Nintendo handheld releasing and the Pokemon fully transitioning to that console. If there was any sort of a gap, it was shorter up until the 3DS. And I'm willing to bet it's because of the higher price tag of the hardware. And so they maybe almost had to make a cheaper alternative for the audience that primarily plays Pokemon and doesn't really care about any of the extra features of the system. So.
Understandably, at that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, that's gonna be it for now. Definitely. I mean, honestly, for our first podcast back, this was a good one.
Yeah. When the timing's been a little bit more staggered, like it has been for the past year or two, I was kind of worrying, oh, are we gonna be able to keep conversation flowing? But no, it still goes, even if I kind of fly off the handlebar for a bit here and there.
I don't know, we're doing gymnastics.
Yeah.
Then again, I feel like we were going through gymnastics just to get an episode out. I'll be honest.
Yeah, a little bit.
It just feels that way, man. It just feels that way.